Hello everyone, and welcome to our new show called Angelic Guidance for Daily Living, Daily Life. My name is Pat Rainville, and you may remember me from a show I previously did here on WACA called Connecting with Your Angels. Well, this show is going to be very similar to that, but with some exciting new additions. And I'm going to introduce one of those new additions to you right now, and that is that I have a co-host. And it's a lovely co-host and someone I am sure that many of you are very familiar with and love very much because you've seen her around Ashland. She's been a business owner in Ashland for a long time. So right now I'd like to introduce Carolyn Magee.
Thank you, Pat.
Welcome, Carolyn.
This is so exciting and fun to participate in this with you and to help open up other people's awareness to how powerful the angels are.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I always like having a team player with me.
I know, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it always makes it nice, I think, for people watching too, when you have, you know, a conversation going on with somebody. So I'm sure people want to hear how you got into all the angel stuff.
Okay. Happy to elaborate on that. So about 8 years ago, I was going through kind of a difficult transition with things and really doing some soul searching, trying to figure out really where I fit. I knew I needed to be more of service than I already was. I do have a pet care company in town and feel like I provide a great peace of mind for people with that, but I knew that there was a missing piece. And I connected with Reverend Elvia Rowe of Angels Teach. She's out of Norfolk, and found my new spiritual home, or found my spiritual home maybe. And it just felt literally like coming home. There was this piece of me that I rediscovered. And for me, the angels are all about connecting our higher self to God, to all of that greater wisdom that lives outside of ourselves, and bringing it home into our hearts, into our bodies, into our minds, into our spirits, so that we can then take that guidance and live it in our daily life and really be of service, not only to ourselves, to our families, but to the world. And we really need that right now.
Now, did you, were you in any particular faith beforehand, or did you,
Yep, I'm still Catholic.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I became Catholic when I was in college. My three best friends were Catholic, and I used to go to church with them, and then fell in love with the ceremony and the community, and it's still very foundational for me. I love the energy of it, but I've also expanded that out, and now I am an ordained minister through Divine Order of the Sacred Rose, which is the spiritual religious aspect of Angels Teach. So there's two components of it. There's a university piece, and there is also the ministry piece. So there are a number of us that minister to online to people to try and help them, again, connect with their angels, connect with that guidance, and live it in their daily living.
Yeah, because it can be so helpful in everyday life.
Absolutely.
And I don't know about you, but I'm sure you probably may have experienced this too, given that you felt such a connection with it when you found out about it or learned about it from Elvia.
Yes.
And there is an experience that a lot of people have along with it when you start calling on them, when you learn about them, when you call on them, and you see things change, or you see something happen, or
right, and it's everything seems to be a little bit easier, and I call it the roller coaster of life. You've got those ups, you've got those downs, but it seems to be like in a narrower band. You still have those really positive moments, but you can really. They're not manic, you can embody them, you can feel them and really enjoy them. And when you have those downtimes or those learning experiences or those fears, it's not as deep. You've got the tool, or I have the tools, and everybody else who's taken this journey, we know that we've got the support around us 24/7. We don't feel alone, we don't feel lost or disconnected. We know that there is something positive that's going to come out of it. And that faith, that knowledge, because that's what it is for me now. It's knowledge. It's like a piece of who I am. You must have the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah.
it's an inner knowingness of that it is going to be okay, and there is something that's going to come out of it that's going to benefit, whether it's me or someone I love or the world in general, that there is something positive to come out of this experience, as devastating as it is in the moment.
And it does change how you work with things in your daily life.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely does.
And I think, there's so many people now, especially younger people, who are very energetically sensitive. And I think, in addition to, feeling the effects of what's going on in the world, the positive and negative stuff, I do think people feel like more of the angelic presence around.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of angels that are being called in or that are helping us out right now.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I've noticed, I've got young adult children, and their friends who are open to the angels, that there's something, bigger spiritually, not just in a traditional faith or religious context. They seem to be able to deal with those ups and downs easier too. The ones that are closed to it, they're more prone to the anxiety, they're more prone to the depression because they don't have that faith that everything that's going on, that there's a reason for it, or that they are supported through it. So they close it out, and by putting that wall in front of them, they're not getting that energetic support that the angels are here to provide us.
Yeah. And angels, what I liked about working with them is the difference in your own personal energy. I mean, it really does lift up so that you don't, when you get inundated with stuff from the world, the stuff that you see in the media, on the news, and it can be, and we all know, because we've all watched it, how depressing it can be sometimes.
And scary sometimes.
Yeah. And the angels can help to buffer that. They help to lift you up and remind you of faith and hope, and that, by asking for their and God's intervention, that, things can be affected more positively.
Right.
So, and it's interesting because today, as we're filming this, there's been some really devastating events that have gone on in the world. We've just had the huge hurricane that hit Florida, the one that just hit Texas, and there was a huge earthquake in Mexico, and there's just
wildfires
out west, floods in other areas of the world, India, I know, and there is such a collective consciousness of loss going on, and it's constantly in the media, and it's scary, it's overwhelming, and it can make you feel like the world's going to hell in a handbasket. And so it's at times like these that it's really good to have, the angelic presence to call in and send them to those areas.
Absolutely.
and to help.
I was reminded by someone when we were doing a prayer circle, holding space, for all of the people that were involved in all of these disaster, natural events that are going on, that the atmospheric pressure is kind of like in response to our own energy. So that if we're really anxious and out of control, then that kind of amps up the energy in the world's atmosphere. Whereas if we can envision peace, if we can, send love, calmness, cooling to the eye of the hurricane, tears to the fires, calming to Mother Earth, where the earthquakes are, that as a collective consciousness, we can make a difference.
Yeah, we can affect a change that way, or lessen the severity. And I know actually that there are some specific angels that work with the weather.
Absolutely. And we should call on those.
Yes. And I know a lot of the people that I interact with and talk about the angels with, I know they've been asking me, and maybe even find the same thing, about, how do you work with angels in your daily life, and what are some experiences that you've had with them. Now it is, a little bit of our own experiences that way and our own guidance that way that brought us together for this.
Absolutely.
So, because I know I was meditating one day and talking to my angels, what do you need me to do next? What's the next set of guidance? That kind of thing. What's the next step? And I got the strong intuitive hit to call you. And then
and I had been praying in my meditations and in asking, what is my next right step to get more involved in the community, to network and partner with somebody. Now, I didn't get the direct name, but it was like 2 days later that you called me. So ask and you will receive.
Yeah, no, you came up very clearly in my meditation.
Well, that's great. I guess only one of us needed to know who it was.
Yeah, only one of us knew, only one side or the other needed to pick up the phone and
Right,
call.
exactly, because there's a connection. I was asking and you got the information to connect us, and it's a beautiful thing. And that's one of the things that's so powerful about working with the angels is that it's loving. You feel it, right?
Yeah.
You feel it in your body. You know when you're connecting with them and when it's right, because it just raises all your energy and your vibration, and you feel it. You feel good. So you know that it's right.
Yeah, and when I know people often ask me too, well, how do you know what's coming from them?
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain channels, and I'm sure you're familiar with them too, about how we get information after we've called on them. And I know sometimes their information, or a lot of times it comes in the form of ideas.
Yeah.
And just that feeling along with it of, that urgency, if you will, or that compelling feeling.
Yeah, almost
to
like
follow
you're being
through on
drawn
something.
into
Yeah.
something.
I need to, and it's really more like an excitement.
Yeah, it's not negative.
It's not a oh dear kind of thing. It's not that kind of a
No,
feeling,
it's
that
definitely
ominous
not.
kind of thing. No, it's more of an exciting, like, oh, I need to call this person, or just ask them, and And it was so funny that day that I called you, because everything I had said to you, you're like, yeah.
I was just thinking about that. I know I need to do that.
Yeah.
And it was so powerful to have, two requests coming together like that. And that's what I love too. It's how fast things happen. When you really open your energy and believe and have that faith, it's just boom, right there.
It is. And, when we talk about, how we call on and we, we feel things, as I mentioned a second ago, there's certain channels that we all have that they come through. And we call these the clairs.
Yes.
And those would be clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance. Those are the main ones that I know of. Yeah. And obviously clairvoyance is what you see, things that you see. Clairaudience is what you hear. Clairsentience is the feelings that you get. And claircognizance is just when you just know.
It's a gut knowingness.
And you don't know how you know, but you just know.
And there's nobody that convinces you
We
that
call
you're
it the
wrong.
download, right?
Right, it's like boom.
When you get a download.
Or a gut instinct.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you have any, particularly, since you started on this path, did you have any very profound experiences or significant changes, that came about, that you want to share about?
Well, I want to tell a funny story about clairvoyance and when I was first starting this journey. I have an engineering management background, so I'm very logical, and I was asking for proof. So I'm driving down the road, and as I mentioned, I've got this pet care business, and I had this one particular client who was way off the rate sheet. I think she had 4 dogs and 4 cats. So
wow.
Crazy household.
That's a lot of animals.
It is a lot of animals. And I wanted to charge her a rate that would be fair to her and that would be fair to my business. So as I mentioned, I'm driving down the road, and I said, okay, angels, just show me what the right answer is. So that's clairvoyance. I asked to be something to be shown to me. So as soon as I said, I want it to be really clear, and I want it to be repetitive. So as soon as I said that, a car with a license plate 33 pulled right in front of me. I passed exit 33. A truck with this big 33 drove by me, and then there was another billboard off to the side that had a huge 33 on it. I'm like, okay. I have my answer, and it was really clear. And it just cemented everything for me, because there's no way that that was a coincidence. It was just too repetitive, and it felt good. And then to confirm it, when I told the client, she was thrilled with the answer, and I was able to give the person that worked for me a little bit extra money to go in. It just worked. Everything was perfect all the way around.
Nice.
So there was so many levels of confirmation with that one incident, and I just, it makes me smile still thinking about it, because it's like clear.
I love when that stuff like that happens.
Yeah. So how about you? Do you have any fun stories?
I've had some experiences that are both like kind of significant to me, as well as like little, everyday stuff and things like what you've experienced. I think the most profound one, shortly after I had gotten, I took the training from Doreen Virtue, as you know, who's the maker of these cards and one of the big authors on Hay House Publishing. But anyways, when I took her training, I had some pretty profound experiences where with the clearing that she did, she taught us with Archangel Michael, and I think he's who my strongest experiences have been with, because I had about 15, 16 years ago, I had a brother who had passed away, and I had to go and do one of the readings at his mass, the mass that they did for him. And at the time that I had to go do this reading, and they asked me to do that because, I, like you, I was raised in Catholicism, but, and when I was raised in that, I had been one of the people, I had learned to do this in grammar school, who would go up to the pulpit and read the readings.
Yes.
They call it a lector.
Lector. Yep.
So my family knew that I had done that, and so they would ask me when there was a mass being held for somebody in the family to go up and do this reading. But when it was my brother's funeral, at the time that it came up, I was absolutely heartbroken, and I had completely lost my composure. I was sobbing, sitting there in the pew, and I'm like in this panic, because I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get up and do this reading? And I can't, I'm not going to get up there and get through it sobbing. So I very quickly and pleadingly called on Archangel Michael. I said, Archangel Michael, can you please help me? I need to get up and do this reading. And I swear to God, in less than 10 seconds, it was gone. Literally between the time I left the pew and got up to the pulpit, it was gone. But the weird thing was, it never came back. Like, I was never sad about it. And it seems kind of really strange, but he took it away so completely that I was able to be there, be with people, talk about my brother in a very positive way. And
so you were able to get into the celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it never, he like took it away so completely. And so, things like that were like really profound to me. But I've had quite a few experiences too, where you see the sign everywhere.
And that's what they do. They're going to, using those modalities, using those senses, you're going to see something, and it may be in a dream, it may be something physical, it could be a cloud up in the sky, or it could be an animal that you see. They all have, or numbers, my example. It's a very easy way, or you could hear a song, right? That's the clairvoyant piece. So there's a message in that, or you could hear that repetitive thing over and over and over again.
Actually, I think that's how this show originally got started when I did it the first time, was because somebody had said that to me, like, oh, you should do a show with readings on it. And the next thing I know, somebody else said it. And the next thing I know, Barbara was calling me or something like that. And it had all gotten almost kind of set up. And I was like, okay, I did put a message out to the angels. What do you need me to show up for today? I guess this is what you need me to show up for.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of funny.
So just listening to those messages, or clairsentience, when you walk into a room and you feel that there's something either uncomfortable or energetically needs to be modified. It's either good for you or not so good for you, and following that energy that a lot of times people say they just feel it right along their skin, and like we mentioned, that that gut feeling of information. So and I love to say, trust but verify. Journaling is a great way to keep track of things, so that you can write down, I saw this and I think it means this, And then you can look back later and say that, yeah, that's exactly what I was supposed to do. Or I saw this and I think it means I'm not supposed to do this. And you can look back and see how it was the right decision too. So,
Yeah.
you know, just since you're doing it in your daily life, you creating a journal and following through with that guidance it's really important.
So that's one of the ways that you work with the angels on a daily basis, is you kind of maybe ask a question, write and journal about, you know, as you meditate on it.
And I don't do long journaling. A lot of times it's bullet points for me. You know, it's just like one or two things. So for me, it's a lot of times it's putting together a puzzle. So there's a little bit of information that comes through one day and another day, and then I can kind of see the pattern and put it all together. But writing long things has never worked for my personality. So, you know, when I say journal, I don't want people to think that you've got to write a big long paragraph. It's what's the idea? What's the concept?
Or sometimes, you know, one of the ways that I work with it on a daily basis, because, you know, we have the different types of angel card decks, and I have one of my favorites to go to is our Archangel Oracle card deck. And I'll be sitting meditating, and you know, I'll ask, what do I need to know today? Or what message do I need to, what archangel do I need to work with? And then I pull a card to see who shows up. And I might meditate with that. And if I don't kind of get it at the moment, because sometimes we don't in that moment
It's
get
not clear right away
what it means. So I'll just ask them if, can you show me? Please show me what, And sure enough, over the course of the day, something will show up that it's so funny because I had this happen just the other day. I was pulling cards. I had, whatever, how we get those power outages and the internet and whatever goes out. I had one of those instances after one of the thunderstorms that we had, and we couldn't get the internet back on. And so I pulled out this Archangel Michael deck, and I was like, okay, can you tell me how this is going to get resolved, or can you help this get resolved? And I was pulling, and out pops the card. I have cards pop out of the deck at me oftentimes. They jump right out. And out pops the card, the person that you're asking about is trustworthy. And I thought, well, I wasn't asking if they were trustworthy. I was asking
how we know.
And I was like, I have no idea what this means. I was asking, when it's going to get resolved, or could you help resolve it? But I did get the idea, the strong urge to go to the local Verizon store and see if they could take my router, give me a new one. And when I did that, they introduced me to doing Verizon Wireless for my phone, which I didn't have. And and then he said, and so I knew when he was introducing me to that, I knew that's what Archangel Michael was talking about, that the deal they were offering me and the person who was doing it was trustworthy.
That's great.
And I was like, okay, well, thank you for that heads up. I had no idea what it meant at the time.
No, that's great. And that's part of the faith and the knowing that it's really all right. You don't have to have the full information. It's like when I'm, doing those journaling entries, it's like I don't have the whole puzzle. And it used to make me crazy. If I didn't know the whole answer, it would really make me insane. And now I've got the ability to trust the angels and to have faith that it's all going to become clear to me, that, in the right timing, all of the puzzle pieces come together, and what is supposed to unfold will. And it's so much more relaxing and calming, and it's easier to live every single day because I'm not so anxious and not worrying about what's coming.
Yeah, they can definitely bring a calming effect in, which is nice. So we got some cards that we can work with here today. I know I brought mine. I see you brought a couple.
I brought a couple decks
and
too.
In the time that we have remaining on the show today, we could pull a couple cards, or if you have any. I know I'm always a fan of and I do a weekly reading on YouTube, and I always pick whatever archangel is kind of overseeing us for the week. And, and going into this month, given that we've had so much go on in the country with these devastating natural occurrences, I always ask Archangel Michael, and I send a whole legion of angels, if I can, out to the people in those areas to help, not just to help them deal with their feelings of loss, but also to help them to get the supplies that they need much more quickly and easily. So I'm going to pull a card real quickly for the coming month. And then you could pick one from your deck for whatever you want to ask about. All right. I always wait to see which one pops out at me. Who's going to flip out? Oh, we got two. Oh, okay. This is perfect. We have Archangel Azrael with the message of comfort. And he's sending out comfort. And this is what he's an archangel who deals with loss. Anytime someone's experienced any kind of loss of a loved one or loss of a home, he definitely comes in for that. He's the great comforter, helps people to feel comforted. And we're all going to be doing quite a bit of that. I mean, people have been doing it already throughout the whole thing. And we got clairaudience with the Archangel's Azrael with, yes, pay attention to what you're hearing, both inside your mind and from other people. That's going to be important coming up. So.
Great, and I do the same thing as you do. I do a weekly reading, I don't call on the specific angel like you do, but it's a more general of what's coming for the week, and those are out on YouTube. Well, I was guided to bring a little bit of magic with me. These are all unicorn. I have to show you. This is the card that came forward this morning for Pat and I. And
the teamwork card.
The teamwork card. And it's, I love it because it's two very, very different species. It's a unicorn, a magical creature, and an animal, a cat cats are very present animals. If you notice them, they're totally in their body. They're not concerned about anything, and they actually expect that the world will care for them. So, I feel very strongly that this is the energy that we need to live in right now. Is
Absolutely.
To be present and to believe in magic and to believe that everything will be okay and that what we need will come to us.
And it was also a nice theme for our show today, to work together.
It was really good. Where's all of these love cards? Okay.
Oh, love is in the air.
Aura. Here we go. And in this card, the energy is there's divine love, and then there's, of course, romantic love. This feels to me like world love. It's a joining of all of us to come together energetically, support each other, whether it's your neighbor, a friend, how can we make a difference? Whether, pay it forward with the coffee, open a door for somebody, help somebody with their groceries, donate to the food pantry, locally or someplace else, but, doing something to reach out of our own little space and make a difference, and do it with a loving intention, not because you have
Absolutely.
to,
Yeah.
but because you want to, and you really feel in your heart that it's going to make a difference, because it will. It absolutely will.
Excellent.
Right.
Well, thank you so much. I am so glad to have you on this with me and doing this with me. It's nice to have a partner. So, and I want to thank all of you for watching the show today, and I hope you got some benefit from it. And stay tuned, because we will be back again next month. Until then, take care. Angel blessings to you. I don't know if you want to leave any last goodbye or
Feel in your heart what the right answer is. Your heart is the most connected muscle in your body, and use it to make a difference in the world. And we'll see you next month.
take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.